Greetings, friends. This is Dr. T, and I welcome you to the channel Living Your Life to the Fullest. Thank you for joining me. And this is actually the second part of the video I've done. And I want you to check the first part of the video which I've done, where I speak about how to deal with rejection, reasons why you might not be selected for honors or a master's selection. So this is the second part. That video was long, so I decided to break it into two parts, and I've done this one, but make sure that you check that video. So on this one, the first video, I dealt with the reasons why you might have been rejected for your psychology honors or master's application. So watch that video, because I share important information that could lead to you being rejected. Whether being rejected and not being shortlisted, or you are shortlisted, you are not selected to the second phase of the interview, and or the third phase, or you end up not being selected ultimately at the end, and you don't get any feedback. So I hope that these two videos, they will help you to give you some form of closure regarding the selection for masters and honors. So let me get into the topic of today. But before I get into it, if you are not yet a subscriber on this channel, particularly if you are a psychology student, this channel, I deal a lot with psychology related issues, because I'm a psychologist and I understand your struggle. So I deal with how to get jobs. I share jobs opportunities. I deal with skills in psychology. I speak about the profession. I speak about the disciplines. I speak about different aspects of psychology. I've done a lot of videos. And if you are also preparing for your masters, I've done a video where I interviewed a psychologist, one of the brilliant psychologists I know. He qualified from UNISA, where he shares some of the tips about selection into masters. I've also done a video. I want you to check this video as well, where I speak about tips on how to be selected for masters. And this is actually a follow-up to that particular video that I did initially about tips on how to be selected for masters. I've done a lot of video with psychology, and I encourage you that you check them, where I interview a psychometrist, a counselor, where they share about their journey. Check those videos. I think the link are below this video. And if you are not yet a subscriber, I want to encourage you that click on the subscribe button. Subscribe so that you are a member of this channel. Share this channel with many people. Click on the thumbs up button if you like the content of this video. Also click on the bell so that every time I post a video, you can be able to get a notification. So make sure that you subscribe before you leave this channel. Click the red button now to be able to subscribe. So let's get into today. So today I want to speak about what are the mitigating factors, or what are the things that you can do in order to avoid not being selected for honors or masters in psychology. There are things that you can do. I've told you the things that you do that could have led you to not being selected. Here now, I want to fix that. What can you do to ensure your selection? Number one, I'm going to be very quick because I don't want this video to be long. Number one, make sure, firstly, before you even apply, you need to prepare your journey in psychology. And this needs to happen possibly at your undergraduate level. Prepare to follow a journey in psychology. Most of the time, I've realized that people don't get selected to honors because they don't even have the marks from a third year level, because they were not even aware that they want to follow a career in psychology, so they never researched about it, they never prepared themselves, they end up not having the marks that are required to get into honors. So prepare to get to psychology, to follow a psychology degree. I tell people, psychology degree is just the foundation of the profession in psychology. Our profession is called a profession in psychology. When you become a psychologist, a counselor, a psychometrist, you register under what we call the board of psychology profession. You become one of the professionals within the psychology board. So make sure you study the field on time. Studying the field will help you understand what are the requirements to be a psychologist, what are the requirements to be a counselor, a psychometrist. So you will know about us and prepare for us so that you can meet the requirements. The other thing about preparing to follow this career path is that you also need to ensure that you get involved in some voluntary work. I've seen people when they get to third year or even at honors level, they're running around looking for voluntary work, looking for voluntary work. Look, if you really want to be in the field of psychology, naturally speaking, psychologists we are helping people. We are it's a helping profession. I'm doing this channel. I'm helping you to get into psychology. You don't pay me to help you. Nobody pays me to help you. But I'm doing it because I love the profession. I research about the profession. So by nature, psychology, we are helping profession. So I want to encourage you as a psychology wannabe student, be involved in some form of voluntary work. I remember when I was still a student, I was involved in mentorship. Mentorship is in almost every institute. They've got what they call a first year experience program, which is a mentorship for first year students. I was a mentor as a student. I later became a mentor coordinator, coordinating mentorship at the campus. I was at Groenkloof campus of University of Pretoria then. But now I'm working, and I'm also working as a mentorship coordinator. I manage a student support unit, but I've been involved in student support for a very long time. But from the time I was still a student, it did not start when I was about to apply for psychology. By the time I wanted to apply for psychology, I had certificates that showed that I've been involved with mentorship. When I was at RES, I was also a committee member of the RES committee, a postgraduate RES. So be an active. I remember I was also a research assistant to the dean. He'll send me to library to check for articles and all that. I became a part-time lecturer. So become an active student as somebody who want to be in psychology. Be a tutor. Be involved. Most of the time when I speak about volunteering, and I want you to get me right here, people think you need to go to class, write assignments, and go and volunteer, travel somewhere, volunteer. When I speak about voluntary work, I'm not talking about things that are too demanding. I'm talking about just simple things that you can do within your institute. If you are at RES, you are at an institute, you get work within the institute. Mentorship is done. If you are at UNISA, you can become a peer counselor, volunteer there as a peer counselor. Go to the Sunnyside campus where they've got psychologists, where they've got career counseling. Volunteer your service there. Even if they don't pay you, just volunteer. I'm telling you, that on its own will open a door. You find that you never look for a job. The issue that psychology students have, you never had them. Because why? You started to volunteer early in your field and got exposed. So volunteer. Go to your lecturer. Every lecturer is conducting research who's an academic. Tell them or ask them about being a research assistant. So go there, ask about being a research assistant. When you are at UNISA needs a lot of markers. Go to the Department of Psychology. Go to the Department of Psychology of Education, the School of Psychology of Education, of the College of Education. Ask them to be a marker. Ask them to be a lecture support assistant. There's a lot of things you can do in higher education. You need to go there and look for them. Don't look for an advert. Some of the things are never advertised because they've got the rights not to advertise them. But go and look for them. Don't run around looking for voluntary work on the last minute. Be involved. Volunteer within the institute. Don't go too far and burden yourself. Every person, every psychologist, every lecturer who sits on the selection, they know how demanding psychology is. So we don't expect you to come with a long history of voluntary at some organizations somewhere where you burden yourself because you wanted to get into honors or masters. No. We don't expect that. The little that you do to show that you are not just a student is enough. The little that you do. Even if you go once a week, who will know that you went once a week? It's the way you write it on your CV. If your CV has got January to December, who will know it was once a week? Don't burden yourself. You have got studies to do. You have got marks to get. So don't let your voluntary work take your time unless they are paying you. But if they are not paying you, it can be once a week, once a month. But on your CV, it's going to show that you did it the whole year. At the end of the day, you have done it. That's the most important part. So don't burden yourself with voluntary in the name of wanting to get into masters or honors. Voluntary is just to show that at least you have been involved in other things. The other aspect about voluntary is about your professional and personal development, how exposure has developed you as a person. We'll talk about that later. So make sure before you even start applying to be in honors or masters, these things should be in place. You prepare to get into the field, do some form of voluntary work. These things should be in place before time. It makes it easy for you when you are applying, because when the form comes, it will require you to speak about any voluntary work, any work that you have done outside academic or extracurricular, or any other thing that you will have done. So make sure that we have the things on time. Then the second point about how to ensure that you get selected: apply on time. Apply on time. Don't make psychology application a quick process, last minute thing. Psychology admission is very demanding on its own. So there's a form that you fill. That form is very long. Sometimes they want you to describe yourself, write about yourself and all that. The minute you do those things on the last minute, you'll get exposed. That is why in the first part of this series, I spoke about make sure that you edit your work. Edit it very well. Listen to the first part where I explain some of the issues that we have. Edit your work very well. Make sure your work is well edited and you put it there nicely, so that when they look at your work, they see that you are an organized and professional person. So make sure that you apply on time. Application on time also wants to exclude any issue when your form is lost, or there are things that you need to fix, or there's something that is missing. So firstly, apply on time. After you apply, I spoke about it in the first section, don't leave your application to an administrator or to chance. If you are applying at UNISA at some box somewhere by the gate or in another building, make sure after you submit, after the closing date, call the institute or call the contact person and check if your form has been received. If they agree on the phone or confirm that the form has been received, send them an email to confirm what they had confirmed. Yeah, so you leave nothing to chance. You send an email: hi Joy, thank you for taking my call this morning and confirming that my form has been received. I will be looking forward to further communication. I can't wait to hear from you. You stop there. Joy will think you are just sending a nice appreciative email, but you know that you are confirming in written form that your form has been received. Should she lose the form, you already have a proof that it's written, because had she not had your form, she would have rejected your email that we have never spoken, I don't have your form. So make sure that you have it in writing. And I'm saying you must send an email, because most of the time you ask an administrator to say, can you send an email to confirm? They say, no, we don't have time, or we don't do that. So don't put the burden on them. Take responsibility for your form. After they confirm, write an email to confirm that they said they have your form. So that's number one. That's administrative things. Because why? Forms get lost in application. So sometimes you get rejected, not because you did not apply, but because forms were lost in the process. So don't just leave your form in a box and wait and say, oh, I've applied. Anybody who had anything? I've not heard since I applied. You can't hear because nobody has got your form. So make sure they get your form. You are just sitting on Facebook. Anybody who had anything? I haven't heard since I applied. Call. Go there. If they're not picking the phone, go to the institute and do this before the selection process. Don't wait for people to hear that people are going for interview, then you start running. When you get there, they say they've not received your form. What will you do? Because your form can be in a box somewhere. Mr. Whoever or Miss Whoever who collects the form lose your form or drops your form from the box. What will you do? What evidence do you have that you submitted a form? There are no cameras on your box. Even if they are there, they won't have time for you. They'll think you are just a psychologist wannabe who take chance. So make sure you take responsibility. Drop your form, make your follow-up immediately after they close. Not before they close, because they will tell you, no, application is still open. We'll only know after it closes. After it closes, make sure that you give them a call. If they don't pick, go there directly. Even if you go directly, you speak to them. When you come back home, write an email. Ask the person that you are speaking to, what's your name? Oh, Joyce. Okay, Joyce. What's your email in case I've got further questions? Don't tell them I want to send an email of confirmation. They won't give you the email. Just say, no, can I please have an email in case I've got further questions, or just to keep in touch should I have want to send anything, or get an email. When you get the email, write an email back, mention their name, say thank you for confirming that you have received my form. You were very kind and very helpful. So you know you are confirming that they have your form. So that's number one, to avoid being rejected. Some of you are waiting, nobody's contacting you. You don't even hear a thing. Sometimes it's because nobody has your form. Nobody has your form. It's not that you are not shortlisted. Nobody has your form. So make sure at least they have your form before you think they did not shortlist. That is why some of you have given up in psychology, because you never got feedback. It's not that there was no feedback. There was not even a form to give feedback to. So make sure that they have your form. Secondly, one of the things that you can do to increase your chances of selection or to avoid being rejected, apply everywhere. Apply everywhere. I have a list I'm going to share with you when I speak about where to apply, or when I speak about the different institutes. I've got a list from HPCSA about the different institutes and which programs are accredited. I'm going to share that with you. But apply everywhere. Most of you, the challenge that we have is that you only limit your application to where you are studying. You will see in the first part of this video series, I spoke about people who do an honors in an institute and apply for masters. That some of you are not selected because you have done an honors there. They know you and they don't want to. So when you apply only in that institute, they already marked you. They don't want to, so they won't select you. So apply everywhere where there is that discipline that you want to study. Applying everywhere increases your chances of being selected. That is why I tell you, try to also do some work part-time. Especially as a psychologist. Psychologist is a very stressful course. So have a buffer. Have something that you do part-time just to help your mind to relax. If you are an honor student, you are working part-time, you are earning money, it helps you even with the application process. So apply almost every institute. When you want to be a psychologist, psychology is your dream. You want to be a psychologist. Let nothing stand on your way. Whether province, whether a psychologist somewhere who told you can't make it, apply everywhere. Go anywhere where they can select you to become a psychologist. Why? I can assure you, you'll never regret being a psychologist. There's a reason why I did a video where I spoke about why you should follow a career in psychology. You see, I'm an advocate for psychology. I believe there are few psychologists in South Africa. Not that I believe. Actually, the statistics show that there are few psychologists. Watch the video where I've done. You'll realize, you can check in your community how many psychologists are there. There are many doctors, but few psychologists. And we speak about being the country having few doctors. How about psychologists? So we need a lot of psychologists in this country. So you can't afford to let your dream die just because you're not selected, just because an administrator lost your form, just because somebody told you can't be a good psychologist. You need to pursue that particular dream, or just because one institute did not select you or shortlist you. Apply everywhere so that you can increase your chances of being selected. Now, let's get to the part now. You have applied everywhere, you are selected. The second phase now of your application process to increase your chances. Be prepared mentally. When you go for an interview, when you go for a selection process, that 3-day or 5-day, whatever the duration, you need to be mentally prepared. And there's a video where I interview a psychologist. He graduated in UNISA, where he speaks about some of the things that you can do to prepare yourself. Watch that video as well. Be prepared mentally for that process. Be there. I remember when I went for my selection for both honors and masters, I was so consumed by that process. I was in it. That 3 days or whatever number of time, Be in that process. Get it into your mind that this is my life, this is my future. Make it difficult for them not to select you. Let them see that this thing is yours. It's you. You are a psychologist. Let them see that you have studied, you have considered all the options. This is your only option where you will make it in life. Give them that kind of attitude. Let them see that you really want it and this is where you want to be. And I can assure you that for somebody who's mentally prepared, sometimes, it's like going to an interview for a job and you have got just that 15-30 minutes interview and you are not there mentally. You have lost it. Psychologists like that. The interviews, the sessions are very brief and you can mess up everything if you are not there. So be mentally prepared, be consumed, be there mentally. Don't just let your body be there, but mentally be ready, be there, be at the moment, so that whatever activity that you do, you can engage in it and engage in it, effectively, so because your mind is there. Sometimes when you are going through issues, even if you are rejected previously, when you go for a selection, put everything aside, because sometimes the panel is new. Majority of the panel might be new. It's always a new year. There are always new people. The competition is different. So don't bring your last year issues into this year's selection. When you go there, it's a new slate. Maybe one or two people can remember you if they've been there, if you stood out. But don't let that affect you. It's a different thing. And if they do point out that, oh, I remember you from last time, share about that. No, you know what, I grew a lot, I had to reflect. Be open. If they say they remember you, say, yes, I was here. I had to do a lot of reflection after I was not selected. And you share what you have done in order to show that there's been a development. You get a point? There's been a development. Share about. Don't say, oh, yeah, you remember me. No. Oh, yes, it's true. I was here. I had to do a lot of reflection after you did not select me. And this is what I've done, this is what I've done, this is what I've done. And I think this is how it has prepared me. So every time you answer with the goal in mind. Don't just say, oh, yes, it's me. I hope you select me. No. Don't be apologetic. You are a psychologist to be. They also went through the same process. Show them that you want it. You are growing, you are developing yourself, and you'll do anything to be that, to be selected. So show that you are. This is your thing. You want to be. Show confidence. I remember when I went to mine, I was not joking, people. I don't want to lie to you. I was not joking. I remember telling my friends after my interview, I said, first, I think we had 3 days. Just the first day, I said, guys, I'm selected. Whoever join me will join me. Me, I'm selected. I knew I've done my part on the first day. Second day, I told them I'm going for formalities. For formalities. But I'm selected. When names comes out there, my name will be there. That's the attitude you must have. The other attitude you must have is that if they don't select me this year, you'll select me next year. Yeah. If they don't select you, don't say, I knew it. These people, they always select a lot of us at degree level. At honors, they don't select us. No, that's a bad attitude. Already, you are affecting yourself mentally. There could be people who are more competitive than you. Have the attitude. If you don't select me this year, next year they'll select me. I'm going to develop. If you are studying in an institute where they do not select you, I will encourage you, go and see the leader of the program. The leader. There's always a program or a course coordinator who's the one who coordinates the whole selection, who pairs people, who tells which psychologist is in which group. There's somebody who coordinates that process. Go and see them and speak to them and say, you know what, I was not selected. I understand the competition. Don't go with an attitude. Why did you? We're a student here, you don't select us. That's a bad attitude, a bad vibe. Go then and say, you know what, I was one of the candidates who came for the interview. If they don't know you, I was one of the candidates, apply, I was not selected. I just want to understand, is there a way to get a feedback that can help me develop and correct areas that I need to work on to better my chances? Some, they do agree. Some, they'll just toss you, back and forth. But where you can get feedback, it will really help you. Where you can't, don't even take it negative. Some people just say they're bad people in this institute. Leave it. Just go and develop yourself. Reflect on what you have done and work on that particular thing. Don't take this thing personally because you are 100. You are 100. Honestly speaking, some of you, when you come for the selection, we don't even know you. So it can't be personal between us. If you are going to an institute for the first time, you are seeing each other for the first time, we don't know you. So if we have not selected, we can't be personal. It's just that you did not strike us as the best candidate compared to others, or others were more competitive. So don't take the selection, rejection personal. Don't do that. If you are an honor student in an institute and you are not selected, there could be some elements of it being personal. I do agree with you. But where they don't know you, don't take it personal. But I think if you apply in 10 institutes or 20 institutes and all of them they don't select you, then surely there must be something that you need to work on. Maybe that's a sign that maybe this is not your field. Maybe you need to choose an alternative career path. So don't take this thing as if, back to the sender. The devil is a liar. No. Sometimes rejection is a sign. Sometimes the rejection is a sign you are in a wrong field. Yeah, sometimes rejection is a sign you are in a wrong field. So reflect, ask your family members. If you are married, ask your partner. If you are dating, ask your partner and ask them, like, do you think, I seem to have the attribute of being a psychologist? Do you think I will do well in this particular field? People who love you are likely to be honest with you. Sometimes don't take that rejection as just a rejection. It could be leading you somewhere where you need to go. Maybe you are in a wrong discipline. Sometimes you are applying for educational, but you must apply for clinical. Sometimes you are applying for clinical, but you must apply for educational, or you must apply for counseling, or you must apply for industrial. So sometimes it could be redirection. You are in the right discipline, you are in the right profession, but in a wrong discipline. So also evaluate that. Sometimes it's a discipline issue. So check that. So if you are not, that could be one of the reasons. You are there, you are rejected because you are in a wrong discipline. So take that rejection positively to say, I've been rejected, or constructively so, I've been rejected, but let me go and reflect. Why have I been rejected? Don't just say, these people. No. Reflect about why you have been rejected. What could be the reason? I've given you the reasons why there could be a rejection, but it's up to you now to take it back home, go back to the drawing board, and start to reflect. Your application, was it done correctly? Did you put your choices correctly? Did you make a follow-up to ensure that they've got your application if you never even heard anything from the institute? Did you reveal things that could have been concerning to them? Could have been a red flag for them not to select you? Could it be that you expose yourself that you are not developed personally and professionally? You don't know the discipline. Could it be that you said something that made them to reject you? Or could it be that perhaps maybe it's just subjective issues? They just maybe did not click with them. Or maybe you don't even have the marks. That's why you're not even shortlisted. So you need to go back and reflect what could be the reason why you are not selected. So in conclusion, you need to now, if you are rejected, go back and reflect. What could be the reason you are not selected? I know that rejection is a bad thing. But rejection is how you use it, that it will benefit you. So you need to go back and reflect. What could be the reason you are not selected? You need to reflect on that. What could be the reason? Why was I not selected? I've already given you the reasons that could apply to you. So you need to look at all of them. What could be the reason why I was not selected? Okay, now when you are prepared now, you can be able to engage effectively with the selection process. But part of the selection now, the preparedness, the other aspect of preparedness that can help you increase your selection is read the instruction carefully. When you are invited for an interview, they will give you instruction. I remember during our time, They told us to bring an artifact. You bring something that represent who you are. I remember, I think that time I had a picture of a chameleon, and I spoke about something regarding adaptability. I'm not saying go and speak about adaptability. Remember, it must be original. You find all of us, you bring chameleons. No. You'll get then be stuck with a chameleon. It was me. I could break it down. I think I had 9 things about it that I broke them down, which related to me. You know? So think about what artifacts you will bring, or whatever that they'll tell you to bring. Some of them can ask you to write an essay, write whatever. Always think. They'll tell you, be ready. I remember actually that time they told us when we arrive, we're going to write an essay or something. Already think beforehand. If they give you a guideline, prepare beforehand what you are going to write about, so that when you get there, you are not starting to construct it or conceptualize about what you are going to write. Prepare beforehand about what you will do. Read the documents carefully. If there's something you need to bring, sometimes they can tell you bring a collage about yourself or your family. Read carefully. Don't bring a collage about yourself when they want about your family, or a collage about your family or bring yourself. Read instructions carefully. Some of you can be rejected because you show that you don't follow instruction, you don't read carefully. Psychologists are very attentive to details. We administer tests. We give instruction to learners. We give instruction to clients. So if you are not attentive, you end up misleading people during administration. So administration is very key to psychology. So make sure when you prepare, also read the document carefully about what is expected when you come for the interview. And the other thing is that to help you selection, be genuine. Be genuine. I shared a lot of things in the first part, which you must also check there. Be genuine. Genuineness is a very important thing, because in psychology, we don't want similar people in class or the same people who look alike. We want some heterogeneous group. That on its own increase the depth of the training. The depth of the training, that group being different, it increases the depth and the strength of the group or the team. Because when you're in psychology class, you are a team. Most of the assignments, activities, you do them as a group. You'll see psychology on its own is very therapeutic when you go to master's level. So because you are in a class, that is why people cry, people reveal secrets, things that affect them. It's a very therapeutic process. So they want heterogeneous group to increase the depth of that training, the strength of that group as well. So make sure you are genuine, you are original, you are yourself. Don't go there and become a copycat. Be yourself. And that will help you to be selected. When I say be yourself, be careful. You must also be strategic. I'm not saying go there and, let yourself be bare in front of everybody. No. Be careful. Being yourself means you become original, you don't copy people, you are authentic. They can see where you fit in the group that they are trying to make, or the team that they are trying to make. Sometimes people, when you say be yourself, they go there and let themselves loose. You find, I tell people, avoid sharing things that are very sensitive, unnecessary. You go to an interview, you are being yourself. You share things that elicit emotions, you start crying. Yes, you are being yourself, but you must understand that crying, that emotional outburst of yours might make you as if you still have some baggage to deal with, issues to deal with, or you are just too much. So be careful that you don't deal with things that are too sensitive. Be yourself, but also be strategic. Reveal things that have got a potential to help you with the selection process. Don't reveal things that can give psychologists who are in the panel a wrong perception about you, to think you've got emotional baggage that you still need to deal with. They end up recommending that, let's give him time to grow. I think he still needs issues to address in her life or his life before he can apply, because you've given them too much. So be strategic. Be strategic in that sense. You share, but don't share what is unnecessary or might be misinterpreted. Avoid what you can avoid that is unnecessary. And I don't want this video to be long. The last part, tips that I want to give you is that if you have been in an interview before or you have not been selected before, always reflect when you go to the second interview so that you can at least, have a different approach. A different approach doesn't mean you have to change everything, because the panel might be different, the questions might be different, the activities might be different. But approach could be, certain things you approach them differently. Certain answers you might still give the same, but with a different approach to how you gave those particular answers. So make sure that you do a lot of reflection. Why were you not selected previous? What could be the reasons? And when you go for the second time, and I want you to have a positive mindset, because what can hinder you is when you think, these people didn't select me, they're probably not going to select me again. Don't take that mentality. When you go for an interview, go with a clean mindset. Go there and make sure that you become mentally prepared, you become professional, show that you have got personal development, and you show this in how you engage in activities. How you engage in activities. Most of you get into a group activity, they're still giving instruction, already you have jumped, you are doing whatever activity they've given you. You have not heard the instruction carefully. Just because you have heard your friend outside, you just engage in them. Psychologists, you must be think. You don't want them to think you have got ADHD. Think. Be attentive to instruction. Listen first before you act. When you are in a group activity, if you are silent, be considerate of your silence. If you are quiet, be considerate of that period. If it's a non-verbal communication activity, make sure that you don't communicate. Because the minute you break the rules, it shows them that you are somebody who might have difficulty with abiding to rules. If it's communicative, make sure that you communicate, because they might want to observe how you work together as a team and your communication skill. If it's an activity, they are most likely observing how you work as a team. So make sure that you become a team player. When you see somebody doing something, encourage them or communicate or give them feedback. If they're doing something that is wrong, I think that might make it fall. Communicate. Do you think that will be a right idea? What do you think about? Are you planning to put that piece? Communicate. Show that you are a team player. Think, include people. When somebody is holding a piece, don't just take a piece, because they'll think you are dominating. Ask them, Johnny, do you want to place that piece here, or do you want to add into the building? When they see you do that, they see that you are a team player. You are not just a person who just want to achieve, they take from people and offend them. If you are ignoring somebody in the group, be observant of that, because when you sit down now and they say reflect, they want to know, were you observant of your processes? Reflection is about that. Are you able to look back at what you did, reflect on what you did, and be able to tell how that can affect other people and how you can use that to improve in the future? So be a very reflective person. Be a very thoughtful, analytical person. Make sure everything that you do, you are very observant. Especially in a group activity, be very observant. When you take a piece, when you do that, when you ignore something, when you communicate, when you ignore somebody, be observant of that. Because why? They look at that particular behavior. And when they reflect, they might reflect on those particular issues. So be able to reflect on them. Don't just do things for the sake of doing them. You see? So everything that you do, be very, very attentive. That's what psychologists do. We are very attentive. Psychologists, by its nature, we are very investigative. If I've got a DSM in front of me, I'm investigating whether you meet a criteria. So I'm very attentive by nature. When I'm doing an assessment, I'm actually having an exclusion criteria to check if you meet certain diagnosed, or you are good in certain constructs or certain domains of behavior. So by nature, we are very investigative. So we are very attentive to detail. We are investigative by nature. That is why we all do psychometry. Most of us, we do psychometry. Psychometry is an investigative process. You see, so show that you are very attentive to details. You are very analytical in your process. You are very thoughtful, because those skills are going to be necessary when you become a psychology student. And lastly, let me close by saying this. Let's say you have done all that I said you must do. You have applied on time. You have made a follow-up about your application to ensure that they have your application, and you have the marks. I don't know if I've shared about the marks. The marks. You can listen the issue of the marks in the other part 1 video where I speak about the marks and the importance of percentages, the marks. Make sure that you get the marks. And you're mentally prepared for the event. You read the instruction carefully. You were genuine during the selection process, and you were not selected. My advice to you, or my word of encouragement to you, is that delay is not denial. The fact that you have been delayed, you have not been selected today, doesn't mean they won't select you next year, or it doesn't mean they won't select you in another institute. You might not be selected this week, but next week you might be selected, which means if you have got interview today and I reject you, don't take the same negativity to another institute when you go for selection. Delay is not denial. You might be selected here even though you were rejected last week in another institute. Those people were psychologists with their own bias, with their own subjective views. They might not have liked you here, but they might like you somewhere. Go there with a positive attitude. If psychology is your dream, it's your vision to become a psychologist one day, don't let any selection panel make you think you are not, competent or good enough to be a psychologist. So delay is not denial. When you're not accepted this year, try again next year. Next year is a new person. You are a new person. There might even be a new panel. Make sure that you go again next year and apply again, and apply everywhere. Don't limit yourself to one institute. Listen to the first part where I speak about why it might be difficult to be selected in your own institute if you've got bad vibe or bad attitude. Apply everywhere to increase your chances of selection. Don't take a rejection as a final. If you have a dream to be a psychologist and you believe that is where you are going to contribute in this life, let nobody stand on your way. Whether a selection panel, whether a psychologist, whether an interview, nothing should stand on your way. So I encourage you that you put effort to make sure that you become a psychologist. As I close, if you have not subscribed, I encourage you that you subscribe. Click the thumbs up to show that you like the video. Click on the bell notification so that you can get a notification every time I put a video. And put comments on the below section. Let me know what you like about this video. What would you like to hear more about from me? So I hope you have enjoyed this video. I hope it has helped you. Comment below. Let me know what you liked about it. And if there are anything that you want to know, please put it on the comment section as well. I hope you enjoy. Continue living a fulfilling life and have a nice day. Enjoy.